Welcome back. This is Chinatown, JKD. We are the Wednesday night group. Founders Jeremy Lynch, Dennis Blue. You can guess which one is which. And how you
which?
You are. How you been? What have you been doing?
When?
I don't. Just 10 seconds ago.
10 seconds ago, I was talking with a mystery guest and yourself.
Well, then good. Why don't we just get on with it then? Unless you've got something earth-shaking to add. Anything? Nothing? Okay.
No.
Well, if you're going to put people on the spot.
Right.
So yeah, the last two podcasts, we covered a couple of great subjects. One, just what the heck is the Wednesday Night Group and where did we come from? Last episode, we talked about Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do and where it is today. And our guest today is well known all over the world, Octavio Quintero, who is not just a JKD man, but that's how we got to know each other. He's got all kinds of other things he does. And we became friends working together doing an event in Germany. Several years ago already. Was it 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was back when I still had my eyesight, etc. So, anyways, without further ado, let's say hello to Octavio.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
How you doing?
Hello.
Hey guys, sorry about that. I was
Guy.
looking for my glasses. I was just like,
Again?
That's the first. You need a pair of glasses to find your glasses. You keep those connected to your neck.
I have a hard time reading nowadays, and with our smartphones and tablets, it's just amplifying that projection. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, we're gonna go blind here in the next 5 years. So
Isn't
No.
technology-
All I got left.
It's anyway, technology isn't that supposed to make things easier and better and all that?
No, I think it's just rendering our abilities to socialize better.
Making us lazy in many ways.
Exactly. So it's like the Disney movie Wall-E. We're gonna turn to that society soon. So.
Yes,
Oh, great.
that is hilarious. I mean, if you go back to the 1950s, you see how they were like, well, all of the technology of the future is going to make everything so much easier and better, so that you'll have more time to spend with your family.
All right. Carry on. Sorry.
Anyways, so yeah, when you would see people now, or I say you see the technology in the 50s would say, you'll spend so much more time with your family because you'll have all these great inventions to take care of you. And then you see now people are out to eat and everybody's looking down at their phone. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, I'm an IT person and it's definitely a great field to be in, but boy, yeah, I mean, my eyesight is getting shorter and shorter as we speak.
It was stealing your soul. So
Exactly. Oh man. Well, okay. So we met you. When was it when we got together? Was that 2017?
Yeah, I think it was 2017. I had a beard then.
That's right. And you were taller.
Yeah, I had to shave again. I'm doing a lot of courses and stuff like that right now, so I think the pretty look looks better. But at any rate, 2017 is when we met. I was open to it. I was in a position where I was like, sure, why not? I always wanted to associate myself with individuals that had the same passion of the art, and I looked to you guys too, and I thought, well, they are also pretty well put together. Yeah, I also have your material from way back when, with photographs and things like that. So I have a library of stuff, and hey, why not? Let's do it. And we just hit it off, when we were out there because we, I guess, had the same demeanor. We have the same understanding. Like, yes, it is serious, but don't take things too seriously. I think you guys have that, so that's awesome.
Yes. What did Bruce Lee say? Play, but play seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So I just wanted to, for people that haven't followed you, before or don't know everything about you, um, I wanted to just go over and kind of the history as to why and what got you into JKD, how you got with Jerry Poteet, and like the, the sort of the path. What set you on that?
Yeah, I always go back and question critical timelines in my life and why things, because sometimes things are always overlapping certain circumstances, so then you start to sway into one area and then to another. And martial arts was obviously influenced, or for me anyways, obviously Bruce Lee. Why not, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
why most of us get into the Jeet Kune Do, because we were inspired by the man. But I think from my analysis of the way Lee moved and the way he projected himself on screen, that was just showed so much power. Now, not to bore everybody about Lee and his movies, it's been out there for years. We all get it, but I started getting more enamored by the simplicity approach of it. And only reason why I got into Jeet Kune Do was articles that I've reached, or at least spoke to me based on based off of my um, understanding at the time, was Jerry's articles. And so I reached out to him. We made several phone calls. He questioned me, and things that I couldn't even answer at the time. Like, my education level was like this. His was like, you know, uh, reference of his experience and wisdom allowed me to kind of think, uh, you know, um, how to approach this man, because I was always enamored by older men, like just because they were wiser, they've been through life, they've experienced a lot more. So sometimes it was hard for me to take someone seriously, like if it was, someone my age or maybe uh, 5 years older than me. I Unless they could show and project and communicate the right uh, way to say what a technique is and all that. But most of the time, it was always older men. Like, so that when I connected with Jerry, it was like, this guy was speaking to me in philosophical way. It's like I'm sitting there thinking, like, oh, okay, and then okay. So I never wanted to upset him based off of what he wanted. So I always wanted to project the most um, power is what he was looking for. But to go into the Jeet Kune Do, why I got into it was obviously the scale was through martial arts. When you go back and you look at what caused you to even go in this path, because I never thought I would be a martial artist and start training people or teach people. I just wanted to be like a police officer or fireman or something like that. But there, you always have this. A lot of us get into it. And I would speak to, for everyone, well, a majority of people. A lot of us get into it for security reasons. Like, you have this weakness and you want to protect yourself. You want to be able to project that energy that people wouldn't bother you. And so I was young, and so I was at that weakness level. And people would, I would harass me, whatever. I was the weaker one, and so I had to get into martial arts. As time went on, I wanted things to work. I wanted things to look or feel good the way I was doing things. Sparring wasn't cutting it, I was always getting beaten sparring. It's like, okay, I need something better. I need something more effective. So I've taken all these other martial arts at the same time, also worked with Jerry, and I just kind of let everything else go and went back to simplicity as the way he would describe it.
What arts did you study before JKD?
So there was a combination of quite a few. I did Kempo. I did Sambo, Eskrima, Jiu-Jitsu, uh, yeah, some formations of the Wing Chun, some of the Filipino Kali stuff, and it. I liked it. everybody there was great. You know, what they were teaching me, it's not that everything was bad. I think it just allowed me to explore the variations of human movement, like against attacks and what you do with them. Um, but when I was training the Jeet Kune Do and running parallel with all those other things, uh, I saw what do you call it? You know, when we go back to timing and all this stuff, you get your opponent to open their targets. Like I
Mhm.
could see that through the Jeet Kune Do. It's like, and the other stuff was not. It was going around it. Like,
Yeah.
why would I do that? So we have to hit the captain of the ship, not not everything around it. It's taking too long.
Yeah, Dennis, you remember Bob Bremer's story as when he got together with Bruce and he had said what he was studying at the time, and he said he wasn't really looking to train well into his late 40s. It was like, but when he met Bruce, he said something. Yeah, he was like, this was the real thing. I mean, he'd been training and other stuff, but it was like it was a wake up call. It was like night and day.
Yeah, which is pretty unique for someone like Bob, who was a longshoreman, merchant marine, biker, and all that kind of stuff. And then when he saw Bruce, he's just like, wow. Because his whole thing was, I just want to learn how to kick ass. you know. So when he saw Bruce, he was just like a lot of other guys who ended up with him, where he was just immediately drawn by not only his charisma, because Bruce did have that appeal and charm, and like Octavio mentioned, that whole philosophical illumination, I mean, just radiated from him, and the way he was able to express that in a human form, you know, was I can't speak for all of them, but from my understanding with like Pete Jacobs and with Bob, you know, that was an attraction for them.
Yeah, it's
When do you think? What do you think? Also, that with uh, the generality of martial arts and what you take from it, uh, that's the experience that many people miss. If they're just doing the Jeet Kune Do, let's say we just teach a student from the very beginning. They didn't experience all that stuff that we did,
mhm.
so their perception is different,
Mhm.
and then it causes them sometimes to say, "Okay, I got to learn this other stuff." And that's okay too. I always allow people to train in different things.
That's an interesting point that you mentioned that, because I know I believe it was last week or the week before, Jeremy and I hit on that note, because I don't know if you found this, but with a lot of quote unquote JKD instructors or teachers, whatever you want to call them, a lot of these guys are probably from that same generation that we're talking about, that didn't have that influence from Bruce or from that first generation.
Right.
So since they're minus, or since they have a deficit, they go out and try to pull these other components in and say, well, this is JKD, or they'll, you know, and not to knock it, but or they'll just continue to draw more and more into the Wing Chun, which is a core or a portion of JKD, but JKD being progressive is not just that. So I just thought you mentioned that, and I know that me and Jeremy had spoken about that, and I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, that was one of the points. It's like I do bring in drills from other arts because you see sometimes, yeah, people will have just the bare, you know, beginning that they are a blank slate, which is nice because they don't have to unlearn things. But other times they have no dexterity and that just the mindset of being direct. Um, and you sometimes have to take them out of that for a little bit and then bring them back, which seems
Right? Yeah.
counterintuitive. But
No,
but
that's
you give them a little bit of Savat or Taekwondo drills, like standing on one leg. And Bruce Lee did all that stuff, but you didn't necessarily get those types of drills all the time. And so, we bring some stuff in as drills, not as a new way of attack or fighting or a new science or anything, but it's just we do different things plyometrics and things like that to get the person to actually be able to express themselves in in the way that they should. You can't, if you're, and what I always tell my class is, if you can't attack when there's an opening just because of your dexterity, then you can't do JKD. And the closer you get to just being able to hit or punch, kick or punch when the opportunity presents itself, that's really the feeling. I think Bruce Lee wanted that ability to adapt and to respond on the fly.
Yeah, today I think a lot of us are challenged with giving them that perspective. The material's out. It's been out for years. You guys know that. It's like how many years? 50 years worth of material since the man passed away. But all this information, people still question, and and you're challenged as an instructor to kind of guide them. But even though there's all this material out there that you look at, hey, the new best thing is out. All right, cool, buy it. All right, learn it. Like, slow down a minute. What are the actual principles that you're trying to achieve? And that brings me to seminars. When I teach seminars, and it's one of the reasons why I'm also changing directions on that, because you have individuals, and I love teaching. Don't get me wrong. These people have a hard time finding a school where they're at. I mean, even in the U.S., everybody's always having a hard time trying to find a school or teacher that could teach them. But because they're so far away, and like once in a blue moon, somebody's going to come around and they're going to learn from you, but they don't have a way to continue that training, and so they look at other things. They're going and training with other things, and it could take them much more longer to get to, let's say, certainty of something that they've been training. Um, but I leave it open. I do encourage people to say this is a way to it. Where do you live? Well, I live in the U.S. Wow, you're so far away. Well, yeah, but I'm traveling here. So what's like, like, you have to if you really want to gain something out of this, you have to commit. You have to drive yourself that way. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. I mean, it took me a long time to really challenge my own thought process, whether or not this was for me to train in and to learn from it. What was I getting to anyways? I was like, I want to learn this. I want to learn this. And eventually I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I learned it. Now what? It's just like, but it never ends. We're always learning. But back to my point, to get the critical pieces that you really want to learn. And I think this was for our generation. Now this new generation, that's a little different, but our generation is like, stick with it, move forward, maintain course. I you know I was very dedicated to each person that was teaching me, so I'm a little bit loyal to that. And but Jerry was also open to saying you can train with anybody you want, as long as it's in this direction. And eventually he told me never to follow his shadow. So there's things they would point at me that would reference, you have to eventually be creative. You actually, the words he was saying, I can't tell you when you'll know how know that you'll know this. I could see and I can assess. You could do all this stuff, but I can't tell you when you will be at that alignment. It says you will only know that. And I'm like, okay. So the many years, I eventually finally, got it to a point where I can calculate this in my brain, whatever else is fogged in there. But I had to now share this information on layers. So I provide some layers to people, because those, again, going back to people that are so far away and they're coming into a seminar to try to learn the best they can, take away from it, and then I'll leave it at a certain layer if that's what they so want to be at, and it's okay. It's maybe that's not their time to grow the way we so passionately wanted to in our generation. But yeah, huge, huge things going on. The way I see it, anyways. What do you guys say?
Well, I mean, just backing up. I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, but it seems that a lot of the newer generation of students, I mean, there's just a difference in the amount of information that's available, and maybe this is the cause of this. But I'll talk about like quotes from Bruce Lee. Now, these are people that are excited to learn Jeet Kune Do, and I'll mention maybe the Tao of Jeet Kune Do or some of the newer works that are more complete. And you can see in their face they've never read anything. Like
Right.
there's just, maybe it's just because the amount of information that's coming at them, and this all of the social media that you see now, all of the media seems to be super fast bite-size amounts, but it's very ADHD feeling. It's just boom onto something else, boom onto something else. And so it's like, I'm glad my son's into reading. He's also one of my students. He's doing quite well, but it's like he actually likes to read. But you know what? It's like the guys that I will quote something from Bruce Lee, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that." They're usually people in their late 40s or early 50s in my class, that have actually remembered reading, because I don't know. It's sad because I think there's so much they want to know, the movements. They want to know, like, and then people are disappointed because you don't show them more. They want to know more. You already showed us that punch. you know and it's like, do you guys understand what we're doing here? And I would tell them, why don't you go back and look at this chapter in the Tao of Jeet Kune Do or something, and read about these, what Bruce Lee would talk about on making something your own, and things like that. And those are the types of things that I feel like at our seminars many times, and other things, people just, they don't get that. They don't get people have the word master they use. I want to master something, and then I'll master something else, and then I'll master something else.
Yeah.
It's like,
Those are
really?
just buzzwords. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you master 50 things? Yeah. I'm going
How
to
do you master anything?
You master anything.
Right. Correct. Yeah. What do you call it? Jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah, it's what we're seeing today. There's an accumulation of that going on. And it's sadly to say that, yes, the Jeet Kune Do is also kind of in that same algorithm. Like it has to be mixed in with all that. As much as, we could talk about the old days where people were always fighting against the originals and the conceptuals and all that.
Ooh, that's a movie.
I I've never wanted to be involved in that. It's like, what is going on? Like, can we just
We are the conceptuals. We come from the
conceptualists?
planet original JKD.
Originalists.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
That's our next episode. Let's work
I like
on it.
that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep that. Sorry. I'm copyrighting that.
Conceptuals.
Man.
Where are we going?
But let me go back to something that both of you just mentioned and that you were talking through that. And I know, Jeremy, you spoke to a lot of guys just want to learn the movements or the techniques. Um, one thing is marketing has taught society, you know, all about instant gratification. So now we have generations who only understand that there's only instant gratification. Anything that takes too long, you're wasting your time. Do something else. Why don't you be like Benny? He does this. He's already got this job, and so you have these people who do not have, let's see, an intellectual accountability or responsibility, not only to themselves, but to whatever they're pursuing. They just want it. They don't want the process. and they're not necessarily looking at how the end product is going to be, because they just want it, whether it is on their t-shirt or whether it is on a piece of paper. So you have these guys, and I'll go back to, you're talking about, modeling, and I teach a thing called, attack through modeling. But it's okay if you just go through those movements, but if you're not going through those movements and asking yourself, why am I doing this? How can I do this better? How is this going to work against? What do I do if, then you go back to just posing. So it's not even modeling at that point. You're no longer on the catwalk. You're just an image in a glass box. I don't know what else I was going to say, so I'll be quiet.
No, I think you're right though. I mean, they don't, they can't tell the difference. They can't tell the difference. I mean, you show them something. As remember that not you guys, but speaking to the audiences watching this, remember everybody's perception is different. It's like it's totally different because we see it, we hear, we feel, and that gets recorded and stored in our bodies. And whatever you're coming up with, that's your subjective reality. So then
Right.
you're just like, you know what? I I want this, but maybe they don't really want this. I have students that I believe they want it, but they really don't want to commit to it. It's like, all right. So
Yeah, and
then,
it's just like you said, it's that whole perspective versus perception,
right.
where you're thinking one way, like you said, you don't know if they really want it, and they don't know if they really want it. But what glasses are they looking through? And as an instructor, teacher, coach, trainer, whatever you want to call yourself, I think if we are true to ourselves, it's kind of our responsibility to try to draw that out if we can. And that's the biggest thing that I found about teaching is, even teaching college, is that getting people to come out of this instead of spewing, rote words that, well, so and so said, well, what is your opinion on that? Well, I agree with him, but what is your opinion on that? What do you see? Why do you think that is? A lot of people don't want to do that. They just regurgitate the same thing that they've heard. Same with the JKD. We're talking about a straight lead, or we'll just stay with the straight lead. I mean, well, we've done that 100 times. Jeremy said it a million times before. Is we get guys who throw it, and I've seen guys who've done it for years, and they're still hitting the pad like it's crepe paper. It's like, well, why don't you hit that harder? I've even had one guy tell me, well, I don't want to get tired. I'm just like, if you're not hitting hard now, when are you going to do it?
Go
Well,
home.
I'm going to save my energy for the fight.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I'm like, okay, well, you let me know how that works out for you.
For
And,
the race.
but yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but every time you say something, it reminds me of something else. Appreciate it. Thanks.
And,
I'm getting old. Okay.
it reminds
Just
me
got to throw it out there.
you just, yeah, like Tackett told Bob, just blurt it out before you forget. But yeah, just back on something Octavio said earlier. The process, people want everything's a destination. Like, jump onto this, and now we have this, and now we have this certification, and now we have this belt, and like this is one of the things I say to my wife all the time as she heads out to teach her ballet class. I'm like, enjoy the process. I'm always telling her that because that's the way she likes to focus on, that the journey itself is what it is. It's what it's about. And if you're just waiting for the end where people are experts, or the girls are able to go and perform on stage or whatever, then that means 98% of the time you're still not at something worthwhile. And people, what people are doing with JKD. And by the way, looking at the philosophy of Bruce Lee, it really helped me, especially when there was a lot of that going back and forth, who's original and who's the conceptuals and all that. And eventually, though, looking at what Bruce Lee wanted, I realized what I was thinking was, well, who's better? Who's better? Like, I think we're better, and other people are not as good. And then when you realize that it's about learning and about applying, we're not trying to make clones of ourselves. And like for me, the reason Bob Bremer really worked well for me, especially, is because he was a 200-pound, fairly large guy, and his JKD really worked well for me. And but by studying actually what Bruce Lee was trying to do with JKD, instead of just trying to mimic the moves in the movies and everything, I started to get that, hey, there's benefits out there in Ted Wong and Jerry Poteet and all of these people. And what a loss to have shut ourselves out. If we had continued to, or if I had continued, let's just say, to think that way, that no one else had anything to offer but ourselves. I mean, you're in an echo chamber after a while, right? And just building our own egos.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, the when I go back and I look and I remember, uh, people have told me stories of the past, and you reference the literature that's out there and historical components of why everything was happening the way it was. We obviously can tell that Lee was growing up at a different time and different era, different circumstances, different restrictions that he was facing, and the martial arts community trying to prove themselves on every angle. And he had to come out and reference his stuff that did work. Like, no, you got it all wrong, and that's why he was shutting people out. Um, that's why they were getting mad at him too, I'm sure. But completely different lifestyle, and to prove it today. Listen, when people are trying to replicate that same energy, it looks silly in modern society. You can't sit there and say, "Well, Bruce role is great. Who he would never do that." Oh, well, this is it's they're just using his quotes and twisting them all the time, and
Yeah.
it's shouldn't be like that. What I feel people, or when I'm look, people can do whatever they want. I'm never going to project and say you have to. But when I see this stuff happening, and we can see it all over the boards, there's comments everywhere. It's quite concerning that the behaviors like this is happening all the time. Like they just call out somebody because somebody was just wanted to shoot a video and say, I'm just sharing this with you guys, and they. So many people are trying to justify what should be happening when they're not really working on themselves. Like it needs it has to be a reflection of themselves. Like you have to work on this, dude. You can't be like shouting this stuff out. It doesn't look good on you. Like go back to what's going on in your own body. That's why one of the reasons why I'm working with the martial athlete. Sorry, I just messed up my own system. But when I'm doing way of the martial athlete, and I'm inviting clients in and they want to have a full session, it's like a complete connection to mind, body, and energy, and I'm working with their subconsciousness at the same time as I'm training them. So it gives them a whole package of a different perspective on how to view life, rather than saying, I want to learn this Jeet Kune Do punch. I want to learn how Bruce Lee did this power. Like, yeah, I can show you that stuff, but let's work on you first. People need to really start there structurally.
Yeah. They don't know how to, a lot of people don't know how to be comfortable in their own skin at first, right?
Yeah.
And some people want to start out, it's like I used to do this, but I'm not trying to make fun of people, although it may happen. But it's like when you see the kind of mimicry of Bruce Lee's movements, movie movements and things. And you know, it's like when people are teaching that way and they look like they're doing the cat meows and all this kind of stuff, you realize that they're missing a lot of the point. And think Bruce Lee was also an actor. he was an entertainer as well. So, you know, that's the sad thing. You can see how far people are off the mark many times when they're just, 290-pound guys over there trying to prance around and look like Bruce Lee, from the movie. And you go,
It's still happening, and it will continue to happen. So,
but I'll stop eventually. Don't worry.
Hmm.
I feel Dennis was about to say something.
I was, but I'm. Are you guys talking about something specific? If it is, I need to know. Is there somebody out there 290 pounds in a yellow tracksuit with Pumas, a black stripe, and trying to dance around like Bruce? I'm just visualizing that. Sorry.
yeah, I think there is. Well, Jeremy's going to
No.
send something to you. Yes.
Okay, I'll look it up. Thanks.
I'm not 290 pounds. Okay.
No. No, I thought maybe you had it. There's absolutely, there's so much out there.
Yeah.
I get sent all this stuff, by the way, so people are like, hey, check this out. Check this out. I'm like, it's like, okay. Ding, 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 ding. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Getting, little memes all day. But yeah.
Huh. That's weird that
Yeah.
you say that, because I was telling Jeremy last week, I don't know where it came from. I don't even know where these guys are from, but I had 2 videos sent to me, and it looked like there were videos that people wanted me to watch them and critique them. I don't know who these guys are, and they just came on my emails. Not even an email. I can't remember. It was on WhatsApp or something. And I'm just looking at these things. I'm watching the teacher instruct this guy. And well, first of all, as bad as the student was, he was doing better than the teacher. But I'm just like, who are you guys? And where are you getting this stuff that you're supposedly calling JKD? And I don't want to respond to it because I don't know who they are. But how did you get my address?
Yeah.
Like, oof. Anyway, if I find
Yeah.
it. I think
Oh,
I'll
so
post it.
should we share those outrageous emails that we get? Like, certify me, please.
Oh
I'll send
yeah.
you money. I'll get a certificate. Like, what?
Yes, my name is Rajim Batoin. I'm come from India, and I'm wondering if I give you 30,000 rupees, will you be? I've gotten those too. And he
Yeah.
goes,
Yeah. I'm
"I'll-"
sure everyone has. It's like,
my
what is
God.
going on?
You know what? That's it. What was so sad is this was during a time I really needed money, and but I have some integrity, and my name meant something, and still hopefully does. And this guy was not just offering to pay me $1,000 then he upped it to like 2,000. He then shows me, well, this other guy, and this guy is famous for selling certificates. He has his own Hall of Fame and all that. And he said, well, he made me a full instructor, and I'm like, and all I did was promise to watch his videos, and I'll watch your videos, and I just need you to give me a full instructor under you. And I was like, I don't do that. I don't, I don't, in fact, I don't even have a full instructor under me.
You should make one, but spell it FOOL.
There you go. You are a fool instructor.
Yeah.
Fool. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. And so the guy, he was like sending me, well, no, sir, please. He's so, and I said, well, he is what is wrong with martial arts and JKD in general. This is a sad thing because we have been trying to pass on what we could of what Bruce Lee made and created it. And then we're also trying to preserve and give people something that will benefit them and all that. But it's like there's so many people out there running around with little pieces of paper. And I'm important. Look at me. I teach, and it's very sad. And I think it's kind of the reason Dennis and I have kept going. In a sense, it's like it's not like we have schools or teach hundreds of people or whatever. It's just like there's still people that want to learn, and we're like, I guess as long as we're teaching what we have, maybe it'll help propagate some truth.
A lot of those countries, they have requirements. Like if they really want to teach it, so they're looking for that certificate to prove to the state or government, and that way they can go ahead and start teaching. So they immediately want one. The thing about the countries that really want to learn this, I know it's hard for them, and again, I feel for people, but to go out there is a high expense. I mean, for all of us to go out there, we're running on a different machine here. We on a different economy. So if and they're asking us to go, and so I had this experience. I'll share this. I was I don't know, kind of newly into the seminar realm, and then guy reaches out to me and says, "Hey, do you mind coming out?" And uh, you know, I won't call out the country just because I don't want to point fingers, but come out and we'll show you around, and we'll get you a room and we'll do this and that. I'm like, well, that sounds interesting, and I'm like, okay, well, here are my fees, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I can't afford it. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's asking for a seminar and he can't afford it, but he's willing to pay for my flight, give me food, show me around, and I teach. Like that, I'm not saying that there's people out there that are willing to do something like this, but they do it for the passion, and for, what the people say, for the art. But in your case, you have to consider your financial means to take care of you, because it takes a week out of your life to go do something like this, and they have to pay for your time. So if I can be getting paid in meatballs, I mean, we have to consider, our skill set is valuable, and and unfortunately, in some of those circumstances, they have to make an effort to fly over, and if they can't, meet us at a seminar. That's how it works. That's how it's always been, and I had to travel. I had to get to a point where I was, just in close range, but then I had to travel more. I was driving a lot. I mean, do whatever it takes.
Well, we hope you enjoyed part 1 of that interview with Octavio Quintero. And we will see you next time with part 2, with much more fun and games and wisdom from at least one of us. What do you think? Yeah, okay, and he'll say more deep, soul-searching things like that.
I thought I was speaking, sorry.
Telepathy doesn't work on podcasts. All right, anyways, see you next time, guys. Thanks for joining us.